Government drama llama ding dong talking about state of emergency. More specifically, discussing the state of emergency in India during the 1970s. I think I have finally recovered and rested from this weekend, and I am doing my best with pronunciations. India got independence from their colonizers in 1947, so they've been a country for about 78 years. To discuss the state of emergency in India, we need to talk about Indira Gandhi, who was the first and to date only female Prime Minister of India. This is going to be an extremely broad overview because there's a lot of things going on, and I don't know, it just kind of seemed like a time to bring this up. A state of emergency was declared for a 21-month period from 1975 to 1977, citing internal and external threats to the country. In 1975, she was found guilty of misuse of government machinery for election campaigns, things like bribing voters, election malpractice, using state police, things like that. She filed an appeal and she was allowed to stay prime minister while that court case was going on. This incited a lot of rallies and anti-government protests. How did she respond to this? Well, she cut power to major news outlets and then controlled the information they published. Of course, that's not all. She started arresting political opponents, stopped strikes, broke unionizing efforts and protests. Why declare the state of emergency, though? Well, one reason is that by doing this, it halts her court case and actually keeps her as the prime minister longer. Not to say that there wasn't a lot going on at this time. There was a drought, there was a war with Pakistan, there was like the whole oil crisis thing, there was issues with the economy, and they also tried to say that the strikes and the protests were hurting the economy and the country. She had a plan to improve the economy, improve literacy, improve public services during this time, but there was a lot else going on as well. There were multiple laws in place that went along with the state of emergency, such as the Maintenance of Internal Security Act. This gave the administration of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and Indian law enforcement agencies very broad powers: indefinite preventive detention of individuals, search and seizure of property without warrants, and wiretapping, and the quelling of civil and political disorder in India. This was also connected to the Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Activities Act. And let's not forget the Defense of India Act from 1962. The Act suspended the fundamental rights of any person held under the Act, and specifically Rule 30 of the Act allowed the government to hold any person in detention without explanation, suspending the rights under Article 22 of Constitution of India without the right to representation and without the provisions of habeas corpus. Wait. As far as arresting political dissidents, I've seen the lowest number at about 100,000, but I've seen numbers higher than that. And let's just say the conditions in their prison were not great. This is just one source, but there are many others out there. In 1974, the railway workers went on strike to get better working conditions, and when the state of emergency was declared, these unionizing strikes were broken up, and many of them were put in prison. If you're wondering if they arrested students as well, yes. They were protesting against the corruption in the government at that time, and when the state of emergency was opposed, they broke up these protests and again put a lot of these people in prison. Another thing that happened at this time was forced sterilization. That's right, forced sterilization of men. Feel free to pause and read some of the stories, but this isn't even the worst of it. I may or may not do a video on this one because there's actually a bit more history that needs to be added to this particular thing. In 1977, the state of emergency was ended and everyone was released from jail. Okay, well, not obviously everyone. It is definitely one of the major events in India's history, and for no reason, I just thought I would bring it up today.